Hi everyone, my name is Anna Hunter Nichols. I'm a community living specialist at Vail, and today I'm going to be working with you to make homemade pesto. So I have a recipe on my phone and you can write it down if that's easier for you. And I have my main ingredients are the pine nuts, basil leaves, garlic, red pepper, which is optional, Parmesan cheese, lemon zest, oil, kosher salt, and black pepper. Hey everyone, so the first step is going to be picking our basil. I have these basil plants and some in the garden as well, and I'm going to pick about 6 to 8 cups of basil. Hi, so the basil is picked and in a container. And the next thing that we'll have to do is roast pine nuts. So here is my bag of pine nuts, and it is 5.5 ounces, which is just below a half of a cup, or just above a half a cup. So we're gonna roast the entire bag of pine nuts. So I have my pine nuts flat on a pan, and now I'm gonna stick them in the toaster oven, and it is at 325, and I'm gonna roast them for 7 minutes, and then I'm gonna take them out and flip them and put them back in for 3 to 4 minutes. Now on the instructions they said to be really careful about burning your pine nuts because they can burn really easily. So I would keep an eye on your nuts as they're roasting and make sure that every maybe 3 to 4 to 5 minutes you're moving them around and making sure that they don't burn. Now while that is in roasting, I'm going to wash our basil. So I rinsed our basil in a colander. Now I'm going to put it back into our bowl with more water to try and get any more dirt off. So I just checked our pine nuts, and they after about 5 minutes, and they look like they still need some more time. So I mixed them around and I put them back in. So I looked at our pine nuts and they look kind of golden brown, and that's when we want to pull them out. We don't want to let them burn. So I turned off the temperature, and then I'm just gonna let them sit in there while I get the rest together. So the next thing is I have a food processor, and this is the top to that, and I'm gonna assemble that, and I'm also going to cut up our garlic so that we can process our garlic with our basil, with our washed basil. So we have our basil, we have our pine nuts, and the next thing is we're gonna need our garlic cloves, about 3 cloves, and we're gonna need a 1.5 cups of Parmesan cheese. So I have this, and I'm gonna be grating that. Hi everyone. Okay, so let me recap what we've done. So we picked our basil, we washed our hands, picked our basil, and rinsed it, and I stuck it back in our bowl, washed it again, and put it back in here. We roasted our pine nuts, and I have about 1.5 cups of Parmesan cheese. I have red crushed peppers, and instead of using lemon zest, I'm just going to use a little bit of lemon juice in mine. Then we'll have like salt, pepper, and oil. So the next thing we're going to be doing is in our food processor, adding the basil, garlic, and a couple other things. Perfect. So now we are going to slowly take our pesto and our garlic, and we're going to process it. And so what that means is we're going to stick it into the top here, and then I'm going to take this handy dandy tool and push whatever I want to be processed down into it. And then I'm going to hit the button as I do it, and the blade inside cuts it all. So I'm going to process the basil and the garlic. So as you can see, the basil is in there, and I'm going to push this down, and then I pulse it. as you can see, I'm pulsing it, and then I'm just adding a little bit of extra virgin olive oil as I go. And if you need to, you can take the lid off. If you need to, you can take the top off and then scoop it around to make sure all the parts on the side get into the middle. So once your pesto and garlic and a little bit of olive oil is mixed up, then you can add your pine nuts, your lemon zest. I'm using just lemon juice, red pepper flakes if you'd like, and then your cheese. So as you can see, I added my ingredients in there, and now I'm gonna mix it all up. So as you can see, it's not very liquidy. Some pestos have more oil in it, others have less. So it depends on what you want to use it for. If you're putting it on like bread to go with tomatoes and fresh mozzarella, I would suggest keeping it less creamy. And if you're going to put it into pasta or other things like that, then I would add even more olive oil. And of course, don't forget to try it because you might want to add a couple extra things or change it to your taste. And that is how we make pesto. Thank you for joining me today, and don't forget to wash all your dishes and enjoy your pesto.